good day everyone and God bless. I'm Christine A. Maestrado and I'm the first reporter of Chapter 6, Learners with Additional Needs. Introduction. Children learn every day. This happens in various settings and different ways. Learning at times happens intentionally and with great effort, while there are situations where it happens almost effortlessly. So first, learning who are gifted and talented. Here's the definition. Learners who are gifted and talented are students with higher ability than average and are often referred to as gifted students. This group refers to students whose talents, abilities, and potential are developmentally advanced. They require special prevention to meet their educational needs, thus presenting unique challenge to teachers. These often finish tasks ahead and might ask for more creative tasks to exercises. Exciting and energizing activities should be provided to continuously keep them motivated. This group includes students with exceptional abilities from all socioeconomic, ethnic, and cultural populations.
So good day and God bless everyone. So by the way, my name is LGC Capoy from Bachelor of Elementary Education. This is my report. Language disorders involves problem in one or more of the 5 components of language and are often classified or expressive or receptive language. So language disorders is a communication disorders that can affect kids. Children with language disorders have trouble understanding and speaking language. So, language disorders is different from speech sounds disorder. In speech sounds disorder, the child has problem making sound. In language disorder, the child can make sounds but has trouble using them to communicate. So, example of language disorders. Preschool language disorders, learning disabilities, reading, spelling, and writing, selective mutism. There are different types of language disorders: expressive, receptive, and combination of the two, and expressive language disorders. So, expressive language disorders interferes with the production of language. Expressive language disorders have difficulty conveying or expressing information in speech, writing, sign language, or gesture. For preschool children, the difficulty expressing themselves in writing is not evident as they have not started formal education. A receptive language disorder interferes with the understanding of language. Receptive language disorders are usually developmental. They start in early childhood. Kids can show signs of receptive language disorders as early as pre-K. So, here are some common signs of receptive language disorders. So, turning out when people talk, trouble following directions, trouble answering questions, interrupting people who are speaking, asking people to report what they say, giving answers that are of misunderstanding what's said, not getting jokes. In letter B, identification. Communication difficulty is oftentimes one of the most common common red flags observed by family members, daycare workers, and early childhood teachers. So, communication difficulties are sometimes referred to as speech, language, and communication needs or communication disabilities. These terms describes people who have difficulty with one or more aspects of communication. Case history and physical examination. Assessment always begins with a case history that provides the specialist the necessary background about the child's birth and developmental history, health record, achievement test scores, and adjustment in school. So, case history and physical education, the story and physical exam of called the HNP is the starting point of the patient's story as to why they sought medical attention or are now receiving medical attention. So hearing is tested to determine whether an organic hearing problem is the cause of the suspected communication disorders as discussed in the previous section. So hearing refers to the awareness of presence of sounds and placing meaning that sound it begins as vibrations that travel through your ear, outer ear, middle ear, and inner ear, through your nerves to your brain, where you hear. So, articulation, a child's articulation skills are assessed, which includes identifying speech errors. So, articulation is defined as the act of speaking clearly. An example of articulation is when spelling teacher places careful emphasis on each syllable of a word in order for students to hear the sounds in the word. Phonological awareness and processing skills provide the foundation for beginning to read in your young children. So, phonological awareness and processing is the awareness of the sounds structure of a language and the ability to consciously analyze and manipulate this structure via a range of taxes such as speech sounds, segmentation, and blending at the word. So, one set rhyme, syllable, and phonemic levels. So, overall language development and vocabulary. So, formal tests may be used to measure a child's overall language development and vocabulary as this affects how well a child is able to understand and use language in spontaneous speech and in academic settings. So, overall language development vocabulary is children learn new at an incredible fast rate. The most important predictors or vocabulary learning is the number of words that children hear from adults. For example, during interactions, conversations, playing, book reading. Assessment of language function. Language is used to serve several functions such as to request, name, imitate, ask, and converse among others. So, assessment of language functions serves one of two functions, either to measure learners' proficiency without reference to a language course, or to measure the extent to which they have achieving the goals and of a particular program of learning. So, language samples and observation in natural setting. Language difficulties may also be identified through prey-based authentic assessments, whereas specialists placed with a child during with spontaneous speech and verbalization can be elicited. So, language samples and observations in natural setting